Now, today I'm going to talk about prophetic intercessions. Okay? One of the elements the church has negate over this area. We don't understand what is prophetic intercession. I'm going to give you understanding. I want to give you elaborations so that you will know how much is important prophetic intercession in the heart of God. How many of you know that? Okay, now. Let me walk through with you. Okay? First of all, I want to give you what? Defining intercession. Secondly, I want to talk about the definition of the intercessory task. Third, the two elements in the prophetic intercession. Fourth, deploying the prophetic intercession. So I'm going to go orderly so that you can know the flow of the thoughts that what I'm going to bring. Okay? Can we do that? Okay, now let us understand what is defined. Let us define what is intercession. In the Latin word, it called intercede. How many of you know the Bible was written in Latin first? That was translated 100 years ago. So what is Latin called intercession means intercede. Here has two words coming together, synergize. The word inter means between, among. Cedar, the word cedar means yarding or move to a place that willing to pay a price. You understand what I'm saying here? In other words, that means your intercession means going between, and you are someone interceding as an intercessor. And as an intercessor, you're coming into the gap, stepping into the gap of the needs, and involved to solve the problems, and you pay a price. How many of you know intercessor have to pay a price? If you are interceding or intercessor, there is a price that you and I need to pay. So that is actually means intercession. Are you with me? So a prayer of intercession means you are involved in behalf of others. You are yarding yourself behalf of others, coming alongside a people who are weak, vulnerability, where you can stand gap between someone for them, between the enemy. And that's what intercession is all about. Are you following what I say? Many of you unable to write, right? It's okay. You can actually hear, pause there, and write. If not, I go to word by word, I have to say the statement. Just get the gist. What is the gist? Going between, behalf of others who are vulnerable, who are weak, where you're standing before and behalf of them for the needs and towards the enemy and towards God. And that is what is all about intercession is. So what is intercessor? Intercessor heart is what? Is moved by God. Where God moved the heart of the man or woman, where they feel with compassions, which make a person to what? Willingly to pay a personal price in the cause of intervention of the situations. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I was driving here, sitting in the coffee shop, having my breakfast. As I was doing that, my heart melted, my eyes have tears. I was just praying for somebody during the moment that I'm having breakfast. Why God moves my heart concerning some issue. How many of you know that? It's a God involvement in the intercessions. Are you with me? Are you getting what I'm saying? Are you following what I'm saying? So what do you mean by that? So dictionary, if you go to the word dictionary, intercession or intercede, it means going in between two parties with a view of what? Reconciliations. Bringing them together. That is called intercede or intercession. And going behalf to back, plead behalf of others. Are you with me? How many of you getting what I'm saying? Are you able to capture what I'm saying? Hello? Are you all able to capture? Okay. So what are we seeing here? So we are seeing something here tremendous. It's a picture of Jesus. How many of you know it's a picture of Jesus? How many of you know Jesus was an intercessor? He interceded, he became an intercessor. How? He saw the need of the humanity and he took an actions. He became a man and become intercession and intercessor for the humanity needs. So what are we seeing? Intercession is not something that you pray. Intercession is something that you live. It becomes an expression of the nature of Christ. Many times we thought intercession is something that I verbal. No. Intercession is intercessor. That means your identity is called intercessor. Intercessor become the function of called intercession. So Jesus was intercessor. How many of you know that? He came. That's why he became the mediator before Father and you. That is called intercessor. So what I'm trying to say, if you are interceding means if you don't have the nature of an intercessor, that means it's not in line with the nature of Christ. How many of you understood what I'm saying? Many times we intercede, but it doesn't tally with the nature of Christ. So intercessor is a nature that coming between others, coming behalf of others, yarding yourself and willing to pay a price to behalf of others. That's what Jesus does. He pay a price for you and me behalf of us. He come between with the Father. And that's the reason why there's a power of prayer is there. So I hope you understand something. Intercession is not what you articulate. Intercession is to become an intercessor. A full heart of compassion. That's what Jesus was. Heart of merciful. Heart filled with love. And come and become an intercessor. Are you with me? Are you following what I'm saying? Are you following what I'm saying? Are you capturing what I'm saying? Now, you know the word horizon. What is horizon? Horizon is a line bringing two borders together. It's called horizon. And that's what the word intercession is mean. Bringing together. That's why Jesus says, let your will be done let your will be done in earth as it in heaven. Horizon, bringing them together. Bringing them to a meeting together. And that is the job of an intercessor. That's what intercession is all about. Horizon. Bringing destiny into the people's life. Bringing purpose into people's life. Are you with me? And that's what intercessor does. That is what intercession is all about. Are you with me? Now, the Hebrew words for intercession mean pehah. You know what pehah means? Means meeting. To meet. What that means? What is intercession job? Is to create a meeting. What is the purpose of meeting? Is meeting together. Are you with me? So that's the intercession does. Where you create, that's what intercessor and intercession does. What? You create a meeting. So what? So that what? Meeting will comes and met together. And that's why heaven and earth is meeting. When the intercessor interceding, he's bringing both the realm to meet. When the both realm means what? Heaven invade the earth. Heaven exploded in earth. That's where supernatural happened. That's where all things happen. And that's what intercession is all about. Are you with me? That means what happens? When you bring heaven and earth together, what? The will of heavens is being explored, deployed, expanded in the earth. And that's what intercession is all about. Are you with me? Are you getting a clarity here? Many times we thought we are coming for intercession, but we don't understand the meaning behind and what are we supposed to do. Are you with me? So the purpose of intercession is what? Is to create meetings. What's the purpose of meeting? Create meeting what? To meet God. Where an intercessor meet with God and allow God to meet others. Are you with me? How many of you follow what I'm saying? Are you with me following what I'm saying? I hope that you will allow this truth to be digest. So what is that? An intercession means create a meeting with God where an intercessor meet with God and allow God to meet the others. It can be a city, nations, society, church, or individual. And that's what intercessor and intercession does. Are you with me? If you don't have this clarity and insight, so what you're going to do, you're going to mess up with intercession. Remember that last week we spoke about many of them speak in tongues in the church of Corinth, but they don't have insight. Because they don't have insight, what happened? They mess up the what? Speaking in tongues. So intercession can be messed up and misused, abused, when you don't have insight what is intercession is all about. So intercession is not a function. Intercessor is an identity. So you cannot separate intercessor and intercession. Are you with me? It's a nature of God that is become so real. Are you following what I'm saying? Is it okay for y'all? So what are we saying? We are serving a God of relational. And that's why intercessor does. A relational God creating a meeting and allow the relational God to meet with the needs of a society, nations, people, and individual. Are you with me? So we saw defining the word intercession. Let me go to the definitions. What I mean by definitions. Definition of the intercessor. Task. Do you know there are several tasks for the intercessor? Let me line up that. Number one, God is looking for a secretary. Do you know that? What is a secretary? An intercessor is God's secretary. What is the secretary job? Is to be beside the boss, to remind his tasks, remind his appointment, schedule every appointment that was given to him. They look into his appointment and they look into his what? What are the necessary that he needs for the meeting? Everything that is arranged by the what? Secretary. Are you with me? So if you are called to be an intercessor or intercession, that means you are stepping into a job called God's secretary. Are you with me? Let me give you a scripture verse here. Isaiah chapter 62, verse 6 and 7. Who is supposed to read the verse today? On your wall, O Jerusalem, I've appointed watchmen all day and all night. They will never keep silence. You who remind the Lord. You saw the word? You who remind the Lord. Take no rest for yourself and give him no rest until he establish and make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So what are we seeing here? Watchman. You see, another way it means an intercessor is a watchman. And he says, you who reminds a secretary. What is a secretary job? Boss, do you know that tomorrow morning you have appointment in this place? And these are things that you need. And that's what? The fulfillment, the appointment, whatever he is supposed to do. And that is a job of a intercessor. Are you with me? Are you with me? The question that I want to throw, are you an intercessor? Are you a God's secretary? Or do you remind God? Why did God need to be reminded? Is he's got dementia? No. In another way, God is allowing you, me and you to participate with Him. That's the purpose. Are you with me? He need a human secretary who can able to participate with Him concerning the divine calendar, concerning the prophetic destiny, concerning the promises, what He's supposed to fulfill. So if you are secretary of God, then you will be well versed of the calendar of God. Now look at me. Well versed about what? The calendar of God. That means what? What God's supposed to do certain time, certain period. You need to know the Bible. Why? To remind Him the assignment and the promises and the prophetic destiny He have not fulfilled yet. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now let us look at an example, the book of Daniel. How many of you know Daniel was a secretary for God? Daniel chapter 9, verse 2 and 3. Who's supposed to read the Bible today? Okay.
In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, observed in the books the number of the years which was revealed as the word of the Lord to Jeremiah, the prophet, for the completion of the desolation of Jerusalem, namely 70 years. So I gave my attention to the Lord God to seek Him by prayer and supplication with fasting, sackcloth, and ashes.
So what are we seeing here? Here, Daniel was faithful God's secretary, God intercessor, by what? Looking at the intent of God. The Bible, where he bumps on. The book of Jeremiah. Where the book of Jeremiah says that 70 years, the exile of what? Babylon will be over. That's what he saw. And when he understood that, this is what? The assignment is about to finish. The Babylon assignment is going to be over. They need to be what? Set free. So God intervention need to be happen. God promise need to be fulfilled. What Daniel does? He sleep. He take a little break. He went for a tour. Does it verse 6 say that? What he says? He turned his face to seek the Lord. Prayer, fasting, sackcloth. Look at how he was. To remind God, what you spoke in the book of Jeremiah, the 70 years is about to over. So let me remind you that your job is now to what? Bring them out of the exile, fulfill what you say, and the promise need to be done. So what is he doing? What is doing? What is doing? I believe intercessors supposed to be well equipped in the Word of God. Why? If they're not well equipped in the Word of God, they doesn't know the promises of God, they doesn't know the divine calendar, they doesn't know the promise and fulfillment of God, then they can't remind God. They cannot be a good secretary. You appoint a secretary who doesn't remind you of your appointment, your promises, where you're supposed to go, how you're supposed to go, what are the things you need to do. If the secretary is not able to do, what you will do? You will what? Sack. How many intercessors in the church supposed to be sacked out? Shock for you to say the same statement. Do you understand? So we call ourselves as an intercessor, but we are not a good secretary going into the Bible, understanding his mind, where he has fallen, what he is supposed to be, what are the fulfillment have not done, and these are the things supposed to be done by the what? Intercessor. Are you with me? So what the intercessor does, he reminds the promise of God, the fulfillment of God, the God that which have not fulfilled. He reminds that the appointment that he has, and that's where the in the intercessor become intercede for what need to be done. Are you with me? Firstly, are you with me? Are you clear? Secondly, an intercessor of the task that he is supposed to do, or she, taking up the cause of justice. Do you know that that's what the job of an intercessor? Taking the cause of what? Justice. Let us read Isaiah 59, verse 15 and 16.
Yes, the truth is lacking, and he who turns aside from evil makes himself a prey. Now the Lord saw, and it was displeasing in his sight, that there was no justice. And he saw that there was no man, and was astonished that there was no one to intercede.
So what are we seeing here? Here God saw injustice that happening in the cause of the earth. And as he looked at that, he was so displeased. And he's so displeased, he's looking for what? A man. A woman. Who what? Able to what? Come and carry that injustice, take over them, and become intercessor, interceding for the injustice. You see, most of the time we saw injustice, we gossip. Most of the time we saw injustice, we complain. But we never intercede. That's why many injustices are happening in everywhere. Because you fail to become an intercessor. So God is looking. See, look. The Bible says that he was displeased. But as he was displeased, there was what? A disturb in his heart. There was a pain in his heart. He thought somebody who can what? Carry that pain and become an intercessor in between the injustice so that he can what? Intervene. Bring solutions. Bring order. So who is the cause of this? Intercessor. When I say intercessor, means, oh, Pastor, good, Pastor, you're talking to a prayer partner. No, everybody are called to intercede. Because our Jesus is an intercessor. If you are following his footsteps, you and I are called intercessor. Am I right to say? Are you with me? How many of you getting what I'm saying? So if you saw injustice, what's the first thing that you must do? You need to engage your assignment, your function's role as an intercessor coming in between the injustice and say, God, that's what Habakkuk does. He said, God, look at the earth. What is happening? Why don't you do something about it? What happened? God released a word to Habakkuk and said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to release the Syrian army and come and bring a devastation. Because there was a man is able to stand and intercede. Are you with me? Are you with me what I'm saying? Are you able to follow? So what is the next one? No, the second one. An intercessor is what? Who take up the case of injustice or justice before God on behalf of others. Injustice and justice. You understand what is injustice? Something that is wrong. You're coming. Something is right, it's not happening. Are you understand? So that's what you are supposed to take. And that's what Jesus took upon him, injustice and justice. That's what he was called an intercessor. Did Jesus do that? Injustice, he carried upon him. Justice, he carried upon him. He carried the God justice upon him. He carried humanity injustice upon him. And that's what is called, he became an intercessor. How many of you understood what I'm saying? So when you step into that role, when you step into the function, do you know that you are allowing Jesus to become real and manifest in the earth? I believe I'm a called to be intercessor. What about you? Are you with me? Okay, now let us go to the third one. What is the intercessor does? He build up the walls. How many of you know that Nehemiah was an intercessor? He built the walls. How many of you know, you read the book of Nehemiah, so many times the word prayer, he pray to God. He takes 3 months to pray. Do you realize that? In order to what? Build the walls. Let us read one verse. Can we read that? Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 4 and 5. Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 4 and 5.
O Israel, your prophets have been like foxes among ruins. You have not gone up to the beaches, to the breaches, nor did you build the wall around the house of Israel to stand in the battle of the day of the Lord.
So what are we seeing here? He's talking about prophets. What is supposed to be a prophet? Prophets are intercessor. He's supposed to what? Go in between the breaches means what? That means there is gap, holes, where enemy can enter into. He's supposed to stand there. And then what? He's supposed to what? Build the walls. So you and I are called to build the walls. You and I are to what? Stand in the gap and what? Build what? What? What are the holes that are? Seal it. Are you with me? So here Ezekiel is actually rebuking the prophets that who fails the assignment to become an intercessor. Are you with me? So what are the holes that is in your family? What are the things that you need to build in your family, in the society, in the church? Don't complain about the holes. If you're an intercessor, you will never murmur, never complain. You will pray. That's the job of intercessor. Are you with me? If you find that there's something lack in the church, you are supposed to what? Build by prayer. If you saw there is a hole where enemy can attack, then you're supposed to stand in the gap of the hole. If the church does that, what happens? The church will become a fortified, strong, in a such a way. How many of you getting what I'm saying? And that's what Nehemiah does. He was an intercessor. He intercede and he also intercessor. Do you saw the two things elements is there? Do you saw that? He went, pay a price, he pay everything, and you what? Build the walls. What are the prices that you're paying to build the walls in your family, in the church, in the society? What are the gap that you saw, the bridges that is there, that you're supposed to stand there? That's why you read the book of Nehemiah. That they stand in the bridges and they was fighting for their family. That's what Nehemiah says. Fight for your family. Fight for your nations. Fight for the church. That is called intercessor. I mean, we getting what I'm saying? So if you find the gap, then you stand in the gap and become intercessor. And build the walls. So what the intercessor does, he build the walls and he fill the gap. And that was the next point that I want to say. So what the intercessor does, he is the one that fence. Fence what? So that enemy will not what? Exploit, enemy will not invade. Defense mechanism. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Lastly, what the intercession does, or intercessor, standing in the gap. That's what Ezekiel says. Ezekiel chapter 22 verse 30 and 31. So, I'll read. I search for a man among them who build up the walls and stand in the gap before me for the land, so that I would not destroy it, but I found no one. Thus I have poured out my indignation on them. I consumed them with the fire of my wrath. Their ways that I brought upon their heads, declare the Lord. So what are we seeing here? Here we saw that God's searching. God in the search, Search for who? Intercessor. He is looking for intercessor. He's not looking for troublemaker. He's not looking for gossiper. He's not looking for slander. He's not looking for murmur. He's looking for intercessor. That's why he says, I search. Who is searching? God himself is taking initiative. God himself is involving to search. Search for what? For intercessor. So my question is, are you coming into that category? Can God select you? For what? He answered that. To build what? The walls and stand in the gap. Building walls and standing in the gap. Behalf of what? For the land. Why? So that I could not what? Destroy that. So what happened? The intercessor is actually what? Cutting down the wrath and the punishment of God into nations. Or they delay. Or they lesser. That's what the job of the intercessor does. Now look at this. Sometimes God says, you saw that God is the nature of a father. When you see your son as a father knows that he's doing something that what's in your heart, you want to discipline him, you want to deal with him, and you make sure, right? But inside your heart, there is another part of your compassion. Well, anybody, that's where mother will comes in. What will say? I know that he have done, but never mind now. Maybe you speak to him and ask him, find out maybe lesser certain things now. What's happened? A mother is coming, an intercessor, behalf of a son. And that's why intercessor is all about. Where he can lesser the punishment, lesser the dealing, where he can cut short, where he can become the fence. Now these are things that we don't do. That's the reason why the church is so pathetic, so weak. Are you with me? Okay, let me go back to the third one, the distinct. Let me summarize the four elements. So what are we seeing here? Here, what are we seeing here? God is inviting you and me to join Christ in the intercession. What I mean by that? Hebrews chapter 7 verse 25 says, can we read that? Hebrews chapter 7 verse 25.
Therefore he is able also to save forever.
Now look at me, the word able means dunamis. Dunamis means power. That means he's able to release power. He's able to release supernatural. Impossible become possible. He's able what? Read what?
Therefore he is able also to save forever those who draw near to God through him. Since he always lives to make...
Since he always. Why? Why is able to save? They're able to draw. Since he what? Since
he always lives to make intercession for them.
He always what? Lived to make intercession for them. So what is intercession is all about? You become partner with God, you collaborate with God, and you sit with God, pray with God, not pray to God. So intercession is what? Not to pray to God, pray with God. How many of you remember when Jesus was in the Gethsemane, where he brought the three of them, says, would you not tarry with me for 1 hour? What is actually Jesus inviting? Inviting them to be participate with the sorrow, the pain that is about to happen, that they will carry with him together in intercessions. Do you remember that? So what does intercessors do? He become partner with Jesus Christ. So what has happened? Jesus represent in the earth, heaven. The intercessor represent in the earth. So what is happening here? When you are involved in intercession and you become an intercessor, you become the representation of Christ in the earth. I may be getting what I'm saying. So that's what is all about intercession. So that's what, when Jesus is living, since he what? Always live to make intercession. That's what Hebrews chapter 7:25 says. And what is happening? He's calling you into that closet. That is a closet, That's a closet where you can hear the heartbeat of Jesus. You can see the purpose, the priority, the important, everything that you can know in the midst of that what? Closure. Remember, Jesus never brought everybody. Yeah? He only brought who? Peter, John, James. Closet. Intercessor will be in the closet. Who comes there to hear his heartbeat, synergizing, praying together with him, and releasing destiny, purpose, all this. Are you with me? And that is what intercessor is all about. Okay, now let me go to this thing. So, this thing what? 2 elements in the prophetic intercessor. How many of you know there's 2 offices are coming together in the called prophetic intercessions? An office of a priest, office of a prophet. What priest does? He represents the interests of man to God. Correct? That's what he does. He goes on behalf of man, represent the needs, their gaps, whatever that's what is supposed to be the priest. So he never represents himself. So what are we seeing here? An intercessor never represents himself. The word I will be removed from the place called intercessor. An intercessor that talks about I is not intercessor. That means intercessor removed, there is no about him, there's no about his interest, but the interest of others become the primary in their heart, and going behalf of them to the throne and representing them and representing what they want. So that's what called priests. Are you with me? So the needs of the city, the needs of the church. Now if that's what happened in the church, do you know what happened in the church? Gossip will be settled. Murmuring will be settled. We are very good in talking about, church don't have all these you can talk. That shows you're not intercessor. An intercessor will carry the need of the society, nations, family, individual, and the church go behalf of God and say, God, this is what. Would you please intervene? And that's what it's supposed to be. That's the priest. So what's the prophet does? The prophet represents the interests of God. The priest represent the interests of humanity, but the prophet what? Represent the interests of what? God. So what? So that he will bring God to what? To people. Priests bring what? Human to God. And that is called prophetic intercession. So what happened? 2 offices are synergizing. How many of you understood what I'm saying? So when that comes, that's what called prophetic intercession. So you become the role of the priest and the role of prophets. And what happens? That is where you're prophetic, you can be very much here. So intercessors supposed to hear and bring the need. That's called priest. Prophetic intercession. we can elaborate about that word itself in many ways. I'm not want to do that. I want to quickly go to another part. So are you seeing the synergy of the two elements? Priests and prophets. And that's what Daniel was. How many of you Daniel was a priest and a prophet? He saw the need of the Israelites. They are supposed to be released from the captivity. He saw the need. And he also saw that what? That God interest is there. So he began what? Synergizing priests and prophets. Are you seeing that? And that's called prophetic intercession. Are you with me? Clear? Okay, now let us go quickly to deploying prophetic intercessions. How do you deploy that? I'm going to give you 3 elements. Number 1, Habakkuk elements. What is Habakkuk elements? You go back to the book of Habakkuk and read there now. Okay, let me talk about Habakkuk element. What is Habakkuk elements? Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1 and 3. I will stand on my guard post, station myself of the rampart. I will watch to see what he will speak to me, and how I may reply when I was reproof. Then the Lord answers me and say, record the visions, inscribe it on the tables, that the one who read it may run. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It is not ancient, towards the goal, and it will not fail. Through it tarry, wait for it certainly come. It will not delay. So what are we seeing? The Habakkuk elements. If you want to be deployed at the prophetic intercession, then you must learn from Habakkuk element. What's Habakkuk element? First of all, what do we see? He goes to a quiet place where we can be alone and what? Still. If you're an intercessor, you will go alone. You would prefer to be alone. How many of you know Jesus was like that? He was alone in the morning. He was alone in the daybreak. He was alone the whole night. How many of you understood that? Moses was alone with God. Moses is an intercessor. Are you with me? How many of you prefer alone? Some of them don't feel alone. If you put them in the room for a while, they cannot stay in the room. Why? They are not trained. That's a part of their weakness. Okay? So what are we? Finding a loading place. Then what is it? He quiet himself what? Within him to watch what? To see what God would say. That is Habakkuk elements. Not only going to a place, but able to be quiet. Quiet for what? To listen what he says. So when God began to speak what? What he does? He records it down. Why? So that he can post in the church. So that he can go what? Create a diary. No. The purpose of record down to involve in what God intend to. Are you with me? Okay. The second one, if you want to be deploying the prophetic intercessions, then you must learn to be still. You know what means still? Psalms 46 verse 10. Can we read that?
Cease striving and know that I am God.
Cease what?
Striving.
What do you mean by striving? Inside you. Where you are battling. No rest inside you. What is striving? Something inside you. Striving about what? Issues. Things. Unsettled heart. So, you must learn to deal so that what? You can be participate with the divine intercessor. In Mark chapter 1 verse 35, you read that in the early morning, while it still was darkness, he rose and went out and departed to a lonely place and was praying there, removing external distractions. The first one is internal, where inside you may be thinking about somebody have said something. You may be thinking about something happened in your working place. All these are battling inside you. Unsettled issue. Pain. Murmuring. All these are happening inside you. These are things that you need to settle. Bring it to rest. Secondly, external distraction. First of all, your phone. Your iPad. All these. What happened? You only pray, then 1 hour you have to take the phone and look. Then after, put aside your phone. Can you do that? If you cannot, you are not allowing the external distract from you. You're not removing. Put an iPad somewhere else. Put your game somewhere else. If you don't do that, these are what? Distract you. Then you will never be about deploying yourself to be about prophetic intercession. Lastly, quiet our own inner man. Together with what I spoke, the first one, how do you quiet? Take a paper. Write down the thoughts of the things that to do later. How many of you know when you are in the quiet moment of it, you will think about, wow, I have to go to my market here. I need to go here. I need to go and cut my hair. I need to shave. All these old thoughts will come. Write it down in a paper. Why? So that you will want to bring your inward into what? Synergize with your divine intercessor. Secondly, release present tension and anxiety. Workload, tension inside you. House thing issues, anxiety inside you. Cannot. Settle that by speaking to the Lord. Then, focus on Jesus. Fourth, become still. I'm not trying to do anything. That means what? I center my moment of time and experience in Him. That means when I focus means what? I become what? More connected. More what? Still enjoying Him. Do you realize that that's what I does? You know, in the very moment I came here, I just connect myself. When I connect myself, what happened? I just had a vision. In the vision, I saw the throne of God. I saw Him just sitting gradually. I was walking, and as I was walking, I saw myself was stripped out, and I was given a what? A white linen. This is what you are actually what? Experiencing Him. This is where you can what? Able to connect with Him. Are you with me? Lastly, remove all the inward noise. When I say inward noise means what? You can hear many voices. You can hear your voices of your mom. Have you studied on? You can hear the noise of your father. Before you go, make sure you clean cut. All these voices will come. Your voice of your grandmother. Voice of you. All these voices need to be shut off in order for you what? Are you with me? Thoughts, pressure, all this will come. You know, people will go to a lonely, what happened? That's where they have thoughts. Many thoughts will flow in their mind. If he doesn't know to govern them, doesn't know to bring them to a place of pause, then you cannot be participating, cannot deploy. You can deploy, but ineffective. Ineffective means what? Not very much effective over the assignment. Because you are interrupted by these issues. How many of you with me?